Many people are fascinated by the uncertainty of the apocalypse and will often make predictions based on various things. Many people might begin to believe the world is coming to an end and devote their lives to their leaders. But what happens when they're wrong? Things get kinda awkward. From believing that aliens will save you in their spaceship when the apocalypse comes, to the main predictions of 2012. Here are 10 apocalypse predictions that failed. Number 10. Y2K. There was just something about all those zeros that certainly made people panic. As Y2K approached, people feared that all technology and computers would stop working. The problem was certainly talked about pretty much every day by the news outlets and doomsday preachers that ultimately worried a lot of people for no good reason. Many people foresaw the second coming of their Lord and Savior, while others simply predicted that airplanes would fall from the sky and nukes would be launched without command. A Filipino cult by the name of Tunnels of Salvation predicted that the world would be destroyed with an all-consuming rain of fire on January 1st. The robot takeover wasn't going to happen just yet, and many people had prepared for an all-out breakdown of society. Many had stocked up on food, gasoline, freeze-dried food, and other apocalypse gear that we post in our apocalypse videos. Those shotgun shells will most likely be saved for another rainy day. In reality, only a few minor technical problems took place, and a lot of people were kind of disappointed that the apocalypse didn't actually happen. Number 9. The Mayan Apocalypse. One of the most notorious doomsday predictions came from a faulty translation of a Mayan script about the world ending on the winter solstice in the year 2012. This pre-Columbian Mesoamerican civilization had a mysterious fascination with the sun, the stars, and all the cosmos. Used in 500 BC, they were extremely accurate when it came to creating a calendar and predicting events such as summer and winter solstices. The Mayan calendars were extremely complex, and even two calendars worked at the same time. These were known as the Tun and the Zolkin. The Zolkin calendar was 260 days and celebrated every day by everyone. The Tun, or the Divine calendar, had 360 days and would line up every 52 rotations. They were clearly trying to time things decades in advance. The year 2012 was simply the end date of the calendar and not a bold prediction, but people didn't see it that way. Of course, everyone expected a global catastrophe despite astronomers dismissing the doomsday theory as a hoax. Number 8. Nostradamus July 1999. Before all the Y2K panic, people were struck with fear during the month of July 1999 due to some misinterpreted predictions by Nostradamus. He stated that in the 7th month of 1999, from the sky will come a king of terror that will bring back the king of the Mongolians. Nostradamus was a French physician and astrologer living in France at that time. His book at that time, Les Prophéties, was published in 1555 and is possibly to overlook some of the mysterious predictions he's made about some important events throughout history. He had quite an apocalyptic outlook on life, and this is possibly due to the fact that he once worked as a plague doctor, witnessing quite a bit of death and suffering. Predictions about the future were in high demand, but Nostradamus seems to be quite accurate on certain events. In any case, a meteor did actually fall into the sky in New Zealand, but the king of the Mongols was never resurrected. Number 7. Nibiru. Could it be possible that a massive celestial body would be heading directly for Earth to bring upon an apocalypse? No, apparently. Not yet, at least. Nibiru is one of the more notable doomsday predictions of the 21st century, and the idea was put forth by Nancy Leiter, who claimed to be able to communicate with extraterrestrials. Some people are taking that ancient alien show a little bit too seriously. Although the possibility that a rogue planet may collide with Earth someday in the near future is possible, there was no evidence to support Nancy's claims. Of course, everyone accused NASA of suppressing evidence about this impending event. Her first prediction for the collision was in 2003, and then when that didn't happen, the date was pushed back by a man named David Meade for September 23, 2017. As that date passed by, he further stated that October 5th was the correct date and Earth's magnetic poles would actually shift by 30 degrees. China would then nuke the US, and Obama would serve for a third term. Of course, none of this happened, and we're still standing. Number 6. The Branch Davidians. The Branch Davidians were a sect of Christians who gathered together in Waco, Texas at Mount Carmel in the early 1980s. It was led by a man named David Koresh, who allegedly practiced polygamy and other taboos at his compound. He managed to convince a large amount of people that he was the prophet of God. As rumors began to swirl about what was going on there and about illegal weapons being stored, the feds showed up unwelcomed. They were simply trying to conduct a search of the property. This was when the ATF laid siege upon the religious compound, which resulted in the death of the leader and 75 of his followers. The standoff lasted over a month, and a toxic gas was even released into the home despite the presence of the young children. The Davidians had actually viewed this as their prophecy about the end of the world coming, and they engaged in battle with soldiers of the Antichrist. There are still many mysteries about this siege, like who fired the first shot and if the fire of the building was intentionally lit. Surviving members of the branch further predicted that David Koresh would be resurrected in 1996 and bring upon the apocalypse, but that didn't happen. Number 5. Aum Shinrikyo. Shoko Asahara became the leader of a dangerous cult and would pay the ultimate price for it eventually. A considerable amount of Japanese youth began to follow a new set of beliefs that incorporated ideas from Tibetan Buddhist and Indian Buddhism. The main god that was worshipped was Shiva, the Hindu deity. Yoga, writings from Nostradamus, the Christian book of Revelation were also taken into consideration, and eventually a dangerous doomsday cult was upon us. They thought a third world war would take place and it would be initiated by the US. He believes that the book of Revelation was insight to a coming nuclear Armageddon, which would be the final conflict. Once the world was wiped out, only the followers of this religion would remain. To usher in the apocalypse, they used sarin gas in 1995 to a Tokyo subway, which caused 12 fatalities, over 1,000 injuries. The organization also tried to obtain Botox gas and manufactured VX gas. The same chemical factory they used to make this would manufacture LSD and other hardcore drugs to be used. Number 4. Order of the Solar Temple. Also known as the Ordre du Temple Solaire, this is one of the craziest cults to hit Europe. It focused on the ideals of the Knights Templar and included creepy underground rituals. It all got started by Joseph de Mombro in 1984 in the Swiss city of Geneva. Their main goal was, quote, correct the notions of authority and power in the world. The membership soared among wealthy Europeans and French Canadians, partially from its mix of New Age philosophy and UFO religion. In 1994, more light was drawn upon the group when a horrible crime took place when they thought a baby was believed to be the Antichrist. Other members drank the Kool-Aid and 15 poisoned themselves. Number 3. Heaven's Gate. Halley's Comet certainly seemed to cause some panic among some people that the world will actually end soon. A man named Marshall Applewhite was a leader of a strange cult that combined extraterrestrials and Christianity. While being a son of a minister, he was also a firm believer on aliens and met a partner named Bonnie Nettles who joined him on his beliefs. They began searching for like-minded followers, and before you know it, at least 80 people were devoted to their beliefs by 1975. By the time the internet was in full use in the 1990s, they'd become more popular and reclusive in their beliefs. Some male believers were so dedicated to the point where they underwent voluntary castration, including Applewhite himself. Followers of Applewhite's teaching had been brainwashed into believing that Halley's Comet would bring a spaceship close to Earth so that their souls could be transported away from Earth and the impending apocalypse. From March 24 to March 26 in 1997, 39 committed mass suicide at a ranch in San Diego. They were all mysteriously wearing black sweatpants and Nikes with $5 of quarters in their pockets. Number 2. Dami Mission. Can predicting an apocalypse that doesn't actually happen land you in jail? That appeared to be the case in South Korea for someone who was found guilty for fraud and spent 2 years locked up. Hopefully the zombie apocalypse happens soon, or American Eye might be doing some hard time. The Dami Mission refers to a very dangerous religious movement that was founded by the South Korean man named Lee Jae-rim. It had a surprising large number of followers who believed the end of the world would come on 28th of October in 1992. An estimated 144,000 people total believed him that the rapture was coming and that they would be soon drifted off into heaven. One of the most dedicated believers actually died from malnutrition at one of the Dami Mission churches all the way in Los Angeles. They spent 40 days of fasting, being one of 200 people that attempted the same. Over 200 people attempted the same thing after spending 40 days with not eating anything. Even many well-educated people in Korea believed him as a result of lack of progress with North Korea and a concern for the future, according to a professor of social policy. And number 1. Concerned Christians. A group of people known as the Concerned Christians believed that the fall of the Soviet Union meant the apocalypse would occur soon and predicted the date to be October 10, 1998. While their name might sound innocent at first, they're actually described as a terrorist group and have strong anti-Semitic sentiment. They felt as though the President of the United States actually assumed the role of the Antichrist and whatever they referred to as the seed of Abraham. They predicted that Denver, Colorado would be the first city to be completely destroyed. In order for the apocalypse not to take place, the group believed that the Al-Aqsa Mosque had to be demolished and an ancient temple restored in its place. A mysterious thing about this group is that many of the members have now abandoned their jobs and have gone missing. In 2015, some of them were caught living in Jerusalem, waiting for the end of times, and deported back to the US. But not all of them. It's believed that some members could be in Greece or possibly in Pennsylvania.